everybody, what's going on? It is Kid Cadet, and I am joined by my co-host, Miss Sweet D, Danica Janelle. How you doing, girl?
Hey, pretty awesome. Really excited about this.
Yeah, me too. I feel like we should just get right into it. And all right, so without any further ado, let's introduce our first guest. He is the one and only Corey Taylor. Let's bring him out. There we go. What's up, Corey?
Hi, How Corey. Are you?
We're good. How are you doing, Corey?
I'm doing just as good as everybody else is right now. You know how it is. But yeah, just, losing my mind. Really looking forward to this. So this is going to be fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, actually, let's bring out our other special guest. He is incredible. And ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Steve Gonsalves.
Whoa. Hey, yes. It's going to be fun. Look at this. Look at everybody. Wow.
I know.
I love seeing faces. It's so fun.
Right? I like how we all really set up our backgrounds too. Like this is very very I like this. We didn't have to paint it with Zoom meeting or anything. Like, this is
Do we want to talk about our backgrounds, Corey? Because I know we saw something in your background earlier. Do you mind showing?
Oh, the TARDIS?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love it.
My wife actually found that for me, and I was just like, oh. And yeah, and it actually fully functioning. You can open it, like it's pretty rad.
Man.
What about you, Steve? Are you in front of any? Let's say I see a bunch of books.
Yeah, mostly books. Some different horror movie props. I have a Civil War sword that may or may not be haunted. Yeah, Laurel and Hardy's over there. I got a lot of different stuff on here. Skulls. They have a human skull. If anybody cares, I don't know.
Oh, a human skull.
Yeah, of course. I mean, don't you? Everybody.
Who wants a fake one? I mean, come on. That's
come on.
Stepped on.
You're right. You're right.
But that's about it. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. So, let's just get right into this. Out of curiosity, have the two of you ever met before?
No, I don't think we have. However, and I don't know if Steve remembers this, I had some friends of mine who went to a con about 20 years ago and got something signed for me by Steve that I still have.
Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. This was I don't know if they went to Chicago or if you guys came to a con in Des Moines, but I was actually on tour, and we all used to watch the original Ghost Hunters at my house. Like, everybody would come over and we would watch Ghost Hunters religiously. Yeah, dude. So they knew you were going to be at the con, so they got something signed for me. I still have it at my house in Iowa. Like,
oh man.
Yeah. So
thanks, dude. Get out of here.
World.
I had known, be like, what the?
I know, right?
Like, what the hell? This guy, come on. That always blows my mind.
So long ago, though, dude. It's God. I want to say that might have even been Volume 3, maybe either first Stone Sour album or Volume 3 album. Wow. So yeah, so it was way back when.
2008, maybe, or 9, or something.
No, I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, man, thanks. That's awesome. Gee. Yeah, man. No, we've never met, but we know we have a few sort of intermingled friends and people in bands, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Have never met. That's cool, dude. Thanks, man.
Yeah. That's all good, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think the cool thing about this is obviously, with everything going on in the world, we're finding other ways to hang out. And when I talked to Corey and I talked to you, Steve, I just felt like this was the perfect connection. And I mean, let's talk about it, because Danica was reading your book earlier, Corey. Danica, do you have any comments about that?
Oh God, I'm sorry.
It's so cool. First of all, for anybody who's watching who hasn't read that book yet, please do it, because not only is it very cool stories and, your experiences are really fascinating and terrifying.
Thank you.
But also you're a really wonderfully visual writer. So it's really easy to imagine what all these things look like. So it's really, really cool, which makes it that much scarier too. So thanks for that, but not sleeping ever again.
Welcome, I guess.
The book has a very long name. So it's A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Heaven.
Yep.
Or How I Made Peace with Paranormal and Stigmatized Zealots and Cynics in the Process. That's a long name, Corey.
It's very well, you can blame my editor for that, basically, because I only wanted to call it A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Heaven. But for some reason, in the for lack of a better term, the nonfiction genre, they make you add very like subtitles basically to kind of explain to people. Basically, they treat people like they're dumb. They're like, we just need you to explain this as much as you could. And I'm like, no, they're reading a book. It kind of goes without saying that they're probably a little more on the ball than most people, you know? So basically I came up with that really long subtitle to punish them.
Very kind.
I was just like, yeah, you want one? All right, here we go. This is it. There you go. There's another paragraph to go with the 80,000 words I've already written.
So was there like a specific moment that prompted you to want to write the book, or was it like a culmination of moments?
No, I mean, it was honestly, it was something that I'd kind of been thinking of for a long time. You know, it's crazy when you grow up with these experiences and you're trying to make sense of them, and you're kind of caught in the middle between the two sides, where people who vilify you because you believe in the existence of whatever these forms are, and then the other side of it is people who just blindly believe because they believe in something that it is faith-based, and then you're kind of in the middle going, that none of that really works for me. It's like, I've seen this, I've felt it, I've experienced it, and yet I'm not religious. I'm not, I don't have this like this need for the esoteric. I need to wrap my head around it. When you kind of grow up with that, it becomes something that you talk about with your friends. It becomes something that you can relate. I'm sure Steve can relate to this. It's something that is a constant conversation at every coffee table, at every dinner table, at every gathering of your friends. It becomes something of, well, what do you think it is? And for me, I had always kind of, I basically kind of had this idea about what I later write about called intelligent energy for a while. And it took me like the opportunity to write the book to be able to kind of flesh that out and kind of try to make sense of it. And it helped in a way, but at the same time, it made me, it furthered my interest in it. It's like, okay, well, if that's kind of that, then what are these other things that I've experienced as well? And that was kind of I wanted to share it with people who I thought maybe would be, like-minded as well. That's my dog in the background, by the way.
Hi, Corey's dog.
He's like, hey, there are other people in here.
Go on out.
Oh, you know what? I have not read that book. I did read America 51. Well, I listened to it actually.
Yeah.
I think it was
I
awesome.
finish people by reading my own book.
Yeah, no, it was great. Some road trip somewhere, I'm sure, on an audio book. But that was fantastic. I'm gonna have to read this one. But I did see you investigating with a local team somewhere at one point, maybe like 2012 or 13.
Yeah, it was Red Fox's old house.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
man.
Dude,
How was that?
That was crazy. That was one of the last hunts I went on, to be honest. Like it was intense, dude. Like I wasn't ready for it. And when you're not ready for something and you kind of feel that energy, you're just like, I mean, it was overwhelming. So it was crazy.
Wow. Steve, you're getting a lot of compliments on your hat.
I am.
Yeah.
There we go.
And people also want to know what's on your shirt.
Oh, this is sorry, Vincent Price.
Oh,
Vincent one.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That's very observant. Wow.
I know. So, Steve, what got you into the whole paranormal world?
Man, well, when I was younger, it was, of course, there was Ghostbusters, which was amazing. Everybody, at least I did, wanted to be one of those guys. But fast forward to about 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, I was watching The Entity. It wasn't supposed to be, quite young. But yeah, I started freaking out or whatever. My mom was like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I, told her, and she was like, "It's make believe or whatever." And she had me go to sleep, calmly. But then I woke up and at the end it said, based on true events. And I was like, Mom, you lying witch. And it kind of terrified me. But then that was literally what started pushing me. And then by like 10 or 11, I was, going to see the Warrens and reading Lloyd Auerbach books and all of that stuff. So that was my path into the paranormal anyway. Very young, back then it was a little, bit more taboo, but
right.
Yeah.
Was anyone else in your family into it, or was it primarily you?
Primarily me. My mom believed in that stuff. My father didn't really. So it was kind of just me. Yeah. My mom didn't, she thought I was going to bring stuff home when I was younger, that sort of thing.
Wow.
But they were always very supportive with all that stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that's interesting, and that's like bringing this full circle for me, and I think that they're actually watching now. So Corey and I have a mutual friend who's a wrestler named Danhausen. That's how Corey and I met. And Danhausen's father is a paranormal investigator. So that's how I heard about you, Steve, was through his father.
Oh, get out of here.
I think it's pretty cool. It's all coming together.
There's so many circles here. What's going on?
I know.
Where for me, it was that, I knew that Steve was on Ghost Hunters forever. And of course, being a huge fan, I was like, oh my God, we have to get him. How do we get him? And then Heather was like, oh yeah, he said that Corey wrote a book about it. And I was like, wait, how is that possible?
Yeah.
I immediately purchased it. And I was like, well, that makes a lot more sense now.
Look at that. And here we are.
Did you get to meet the Warrens?
Oh yeah, I worked with them when I was younger. Yeah.
Oh no, what was that like?
Oh, they're fantastic. Yeah. Lorraine is as beautiful as you could imagine. She's very sweet, very gracious. Ed was very funny, charming. I was younger when I actually worked with them. It was maybe on. I don't want to build a picture that doesn't exist. I worked with them for maybe 2 or 3 cases when I was between 18, 19, 20. And they were awesome. That's when I met Mr. John Zaffis was back then, and that's their nephew, and he has some shows and stuff going on himself, and they were great. They really were. They believed in what they did, and there may be some over time sensationalism, that sort of thing. People always sort of raise an eyebrow to them, but the time I've spent with them, it was nothing but generosity and integrity for sure. They're really cool.
And they had a museum. Was it in Connecticut of like haunted artifacts?
That's right. Yeah, they had. Yep, I believe it's with Lorraine's grandson now. Or I don't want to cite things that aren't true. But yeah,
don't quote us on it, but yes.
Yeah. Don't quote me. But John Zaffis as well has a whole barn full of haunted artifacts and stuff. But yeah, they had on their property in Connecticut where you could go see the real Annabelle and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, but I remember them showing crazy videos to us when we were young. When I was young, not like little kids. I was 18 or 19, but of possessions and exorcisms and like people's faces splitting open right in front of their video camera. And I'm like, what is that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were intense, but very, very cool.
Well, since you mentioned Annabelle, I wanted to ask like how you felt about the way that Annabelle was portrayed in the movie, because she's actually a Raggedy Ann doll, correct? And in the film, she's just a doll, so to speak.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Annabelle? Either of you?
No, I haven't.
I have not. No, I have not met Annabelle the real. I've met the movie one.
Yeah,
I've met that. Yeah, but never the real one. Heard lots of stories, obviously, and they really did treat the doll that way. They didn't let people go next to it. It was blessed, but whether it made people's car crash and stuff like that, I'm not sure about.
That's just mean.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. That's one of the stories. Is someone taunted the doll, and then on the way home they crashed, which may be true, but.
Huh. So, Corey, do you feel like your experiences with the paranormal has ever inspired any of your lyrics?
That's a good question. It definitely, when you experience things like this, it definitely opens your mind to a different sort of rationale, I guess. And that in turn will inspire your creativity. So it will enable you to tap into some darkness, to some turn of phrase, or maybe even some prose that will let you go a little more sinister than maybe your local pop writer, So maybe in a way, I mean, to me, sometimes your imagination can be your best friend and your worst enemy. It's like sometimes, a creek in the wood is just a creek in the wood. But, if you have the right intense imagination, it can be a million different things. So you have to be careful. And for me, I've always tried to kind of keep my writing in more of a reality-based kind of vibe. But because of the things that I've experienced and in my want to understand them, it's helped me become a little more brazen, I guess, with how I write it, what I say. So maybe one's there, maybe it's the other, but I can't not say that I wasn't inspired by it.
I'll take it. Okay, so Jamie wanted to know if she can get a professional opinion on the Lizzie Borden house being haunted.
Well,
I've never been there, so
yeah, I've been there many, many times. Maybe 5 times. One time investigating, and we were there for a few nights. I didn't experience anything there personally, but that doesn't mean it's not haunted, so to speak, because who knows what their perception of space and time is. Nobody knows that sort of thing. So, it could be haunted one day, and then it could be months, or who knows. You just never know. So I don't say that it is or isn't, but in my time there, I didn't have anything happen. A lot of fun and history, you can soak that in, but nothing for me. No.
Oh, man. So before this, Danica and I were talking about like our personal paranormal experiences, because Danica, was it like a reoccurring dream that you used to have? Do you remember what it was exactly?
I used to have 2 actually really bad ones, and I had to end up calling my mom and asking about it, because especially after I read that part in your book, Corey, about your reoccurring dream, because that whoa. But I had one when I was very young, like 6 to 7, and it involved being on an iceberg and having to jump to other icebergs to get jewels, and then when I tried to leave it, a shark would come out of the water and bite my legs off.
Shark dreams are the worst.
And not nearly as bad as the other recurring one that I had when I was, I want to say like 11, 12, where I was at a convention, which is scary, with my mother. Somehow I noticed that there was a man following us in like a trench coat, like a beige trench coat, kind of like.
Is this a dream or this is real?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
This is a dream.
Okay.
It gets bad.
For a second, I was like, "Wait, did you call the what?"
Very terrifying, but like kind of a Perry Mason look. So he had like a trench coat, and he had a cute little hat. But he's following us, and then my mom and I get separated, and all of a sudden I'm in the hallway of the house that I grew up in, and the man comes up behind me and shoots me in the top of the head. I fall to the floor, and I cannot scream, so I am whispering the word hospital, and then I die, which is when I wake up. I had that dream for many months, from about 11 to 12.
That's scary. Oh boy. Yeah, I just like, for me, when I moved into the condo that I live now, like my grandfather passed away in this condo, and I used to have a light that would flicker on and off all the time. So for me, it was more like of a comforting thing. No sharks biting me or men following me in trench coats, but I had like a light that would flicker, and to me, it made me like very comforted knowing that my grandfather was here. It hasn't happened in a while, but yeah.
I had a similar thing where, I had a friend of mine that passed quite a few years ago now. And for a long time after he passed, I would see these like giant moths that would just be coming at me and like very attracted to me, and not ever before then. But they were like hand-sized moths, like like
Really?
scary big. And that, like,
In
I
real life or your
found, like, a
dream?
bathroom, and I was just like, there's never been any creature in here before, and it was just like right up on the mirror.
In real life,
And
Danica,
it was very comforting.
These were real life moths.
Yes.
I feel like I remember the moths. I remember your brother with the moths too. But one of the other things, like, because I've known Danica since we were like 5 or 6 years old, and we used to always play with the Ouija board.
Right.
What do you guys think about Ouija boards?
Well, you go ahead, Steve, because I could go on for days.
No,
about it.
please. I'd love to hear. Please.
I honestly, my bias against Ouija boards may be because of the people who I always saw using them were almost 100%. What's a nice way of saying dick? Like, it's not.
It's a decent word.
I mean,
about as nice.
honestly, for a lot of like what, because I don't know if you guys had the same like experience that I did, but anybody who had a Ouija board when I was growing up was almost always cosplaying. It was almost like an original kind of cosplay, you know, like
Sure.
I never experienced anything. And I actually tell a story in my book about when I was living in Denver and I was hanging out with almost exclusively goths. And I was about 60 pounds lighter and a lot more kind of girly looking when I was a goth. So my hair was like down to here. But I was a goth because I wanted to drink, basically. So
Nice.
so I was hanging out with some people and they were very into being goth. Like very serious. And they would break these things out. And, you know, I mean, you're kind of standing there, you're basically playing with the middle of the thing that they give you at Domino's Pizza. In the middle of the pizza, you just kind of twist around.
Oh, yeah, the planchette.
Right? And I'm like,
planchette.
so I just started spelling stuff out, and the girl, Rose was her name. The girl kind of noticed that it was me doing it, and for a while I was persona non grata around there. Because it was all kind of garbage, you know. So I'm kind of biased against that, but I don't know if that's because of the people who were using it or if it was because of the board itself and whether it can be a conduit or a way to, you know. So because I never had an experience where I saw something where it made me go, you know. So I don't know what your experience was, Steve.
Well, you know, Ouija boards, it's more fun entertainment. You know, do some people claim to have some degree of success? Sure, you know, but one reason I don't put any stock into them is in whatever tests they've been able to put together. You know, if you blindfold one of the participants, it never works.
Right.
So, you know, that is quite peculiar because if there is some spiritual intervention happening there, why does it matter if one person's, you know, blindfolded or not?
Right.
And I remember, you know, in the early days and even today, you know, back in, you know, Ghost Centers and even now in Ghost Nation, you know, we always tell people, and Jay especially, you know, say, guys, you know, Parker Brothers does not own, it's just pressed cardboard, man. You know, like, so it's more the intention than what it actually is. But you know, not to disparage anybody who you know uses them, but a little more for fun, I'd say. Yeah.
That makes sense. Somebody, Willow, wants to know if either of you has ever had a spirit attachment.
Attached to me.
That's
that I'm fairly certain that I had some spirits attach themselves to me that from my old house that I had. One of the first houses I ever bought in Des Moines was built. It was over 100 years old, and there was some dark stuff going on inside of it. But there were also some benign spirits there as well. We always thought they were kids. And when I moved out of that house and got the house that I actually have now in Des Moines, I think some of them kind of attached themselves to me because I was a dad, and because, you know, I had kids going on, and because I just had like just a fatherly spirit. I don't know. For some reason, they really would only act up if I was home. And they would for real, like, I mean, it got super weird. So when I moved to the old house, they would always do stuff in my son's room when he was really, really young. They would they would take all of his books and they would stack them in the middle of the middle of the room. And I would physically go in and put them away, and then I would come back and they would be there again. And this was when my son wasn't there. He was at his mom's house.
That creeps me out to no end.
Do you think maybe you're a haunted person? Like it's followed you from place to place?
I'm definitely high energy. So there's something about my energy that maybe it not only attracts things like that, but attracts other people. You know, when you have that kind of energy, like all of you just naturally want to hang out with people that have that kind of energy. And I think that's the same when it comes to those kind of bundles of energy that make up spirits. You know, we see it in science all the time where bundles of energy become naturally attracted to each other for whatever reason. So it only stands to reason that people can have those kind of come and attach themselves to you like that as well. And and whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience, it's one of those things where honestly over time it starts to die down because obviously the energy can't maintain itself. But yeah, I mean, it was weird. I wasn't expecting anything like that to happen in the house that I moved into. And then for some reason for 10 years, actually, it was like that. And it only really started to kind of dissipate when I stopped spending as much time at that house. I actually started to spend more time in Vegas now. And I think because of that, those spirits had no anchor there. They had no natural reason to be there. And they it just stopped. It just one day it just stopped there. So it was weird, you know. It was almost like they found somebody else and attached to themselves, or they just naturally dissipated.
Interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, energy, you know, it has to come from a source. It can't spontaneously exist, and it has to go to a source. It can't just spontaneously disappear. So
exactly.
I mean, dang.
Wow.
I had a question earlier from someone named Jane wanted to know, do either of you think mediums help?
I mean,
man, you know, for me, I think if there's a client or somebody who can get a lot of emotional or you know, some sort of support from dealing with a psychic, for sure, because a lot of people do feel some, you know, great comfort when working with a psychic. But for me personally, you know, it's very hard to corroborate what they're sort of experiencing. You know, so if they're telling me that they're communicating with, you know, a little girl in the corner here, if I'm just focused on that, I don't know if that's really happening or not. So I could be missing everything else that is happening, that sort of thing.
Oh, sure.
But you know, I have some psychic friends who I love and trust dearly. You know, so do I think that there is some legitimacy to? Yeah, for sure. But as a scientific investigator, it's a little tough for me to investigate. Not side by side, because that can be a lot of fun. But, you know, to their lead is a little difficult.
Right.
Anybody else on that?
I've always said that, you know, one person's medium is another person's cold reader. You know, like sometimes it's hard to differentiate. And I've had people, and as the years have gone by, I've stopped being as skeptical, because I've had people relate to me, people that they've known in their lives who have been very gifted, for lack of a better term. I've never experienced it myself, and yet I've also know that it's, you know, cold reading is definitely something you can learn.
Big time.
Yeah. I mean, so it's tough, man. I don't like the ambiguity of it.
Mm.
You know, if you were to come at me with like pinpoint real accuracy, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's some real shit right there, you know. But when you're dealing with, you know, it's like you're gonna meet a woman by the water. What the hell does that mean? You know, so like I said, I mean, but I'm a jerk, so you can't listen to me all the time. But
we think you're nice. We think you're great.
I'm not as quick to just dismiss anymore. Let's put it that way.
For sure. Yeah, that makes total sense.
I gotta ask. Hold on a second. I have to ask because I don't know. Steve, did you ever investigate the Villisca house?
No, I have not. I want to so bad. I know the dude that runs it. I have an open invite.
Right.
Anytime. Do you know anybody who?
No. Well, I had some friends who stayed there years ago and said it was probably the most gnarly experience that they've ever had.
Okay.
Actually, I was trying to get in. I actually wrote about this in my book. I was trying to get in for my book, and it was booked out like a year and a half in advance, dude. It was crazy. And I was like,
man,
yeah.
Wow. The guy who runs it is super nice. He's super cool guy.
If you get a chance to, man, I would definitely like to know your thoughts on that, because I've never been, and it's one of those things where I don't even know if I'll ever get to go there and check it out. So I'd love to know what your experience is there.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna get there someday. It's on my short list of get there for sure. Man,
that place is definitely a hot spot. I don't know if you guys are aware of what the Villisca house is. Villisca, it's a house in Villisca, Iowa. Was it 5 or 7 people were chopped up in the middle of the night. This was late 1800s, early 1900s. And it is now said to be probably one of the most haunted places in the world, actually. And it's a kind of a ball of a lot of, well, and this is according to people who've been there, like a ball of like negative energy. Like it just becomes very, very crazy. Right around, if my friend was right around 2 a.m., it starts to get really, really crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's one of those places where, I mean, it's kind of like the place that you want to go to, like if you really want to feel the experience. So
I like when there's a pattern, so like, okay, around 2 a.m. is the time you need to go there and focus.
They even said like they could feel the shift in the energy of the place, like it turned really quickly. And they were like, oh, okay, something's gonna, and sometimes something like that, if you have too many people there, that can almost be like a mass emotion kind of experience where it's like you want it to feel like that so much that you feel it.
Emotions are contagious for sure.
Exactly. So, but he was like, yeah, none of us, they were actually bored up to that point. Like they were almost doing like a Great Escape. They were like bouncing balls against the wall. Like, is anything going to happen? And then I guess all hell broke loose. Like it was pretty crazy. So,
well, Brandy here is saying that her and her family had been there before. So that's
there you go.
Oh man.
Well, Corey, you just mentioned so you said specifically at 2 a.m. is when you could start to experience things. For both of you, is that typical? There's like a specific time when things start to occur, or is time part of it?
I don't know if it's part of it. I don't know.
When it comes to the time, in terms of, we just try to recognize patterns that we see, sort of thing. And if you're into the spiritual side of investigating, they will say that, between midnight and 3 a.m. is, and then there's 3 a.m., the witching hour, that whole thing.
Right.
But, it could just be that awareness is higher at those hours because they think that, there could be some, sort of osmosis there or something.
Right.
But, the cloud barrier is lower during certain hours where, so, realistically more energy can be trapped, in a more of a condensed space, which could perhaps maybe work as a conduit, or, catalyst of some sort. But in terms of it actually being a thing, I don't think so.
Are there any haunted or paranormal places from where you're from, Steve?
Yeah, heck yeah. New England, we have a lot. We've been to a place, and it's one of my favorite restaurants around here. It's called Theodore's. It's in Springfield. Delicious food, and also supposedly quite haunted. And we were there. We did have some strange things happen. And, they've been telling me about that place since I was, 20 years old, 21 years old, since I was old enough to go into bars and restaurants. And then when I was old enough to actually do it, we went there and we investigated. We did an episode there in the show too.
Dining with the ghosts. I love it.
Yeah, we can. But yeah, there's a lot of places. New England, we definitely have some haunts.
Did you ever do anything in Salem? I can't remember any of the.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we've done. No. Oh, we've done the House of Seven Gables. We've done.
That's right.
Yeah, super fun. We've done a private residence in Salem. We've done I think it's called the Lyceum. We've done the Hawthorne Hotel. We've made our way around there. Super fun.
Me and my wife are planning to go there because we want to. I've never been there, so it's like I really want to check it out. So
you should, man.
Tattoo artists are there, so.
Oh yeah, at Black Veil.
Yeah,
of course. Oh yeah,
super sweet, man.
Yeah, there's also Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery there, horror movie gallery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. James, the dude who runs it, super nice, cool dude. You should check it out while you're there. It's awesome.
Definitely.
It's beautiful. You'd love it for sure. Yeah.
Right on.
Heck yeah, right in Salem. Salem's beautiful. You'll love it.
Yeah, I definitely gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That convention you were talking about, I think may have been in Des Moines. Perhaps it just hit me. Des Moines had a Comic-Con for a little while.
Yeah,
I was there in like 2004, I think, or 2000.
I think that's when it was.
Yeah. And I remember that now, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah.
I still got it. Yeah,
in Des Moines.
I want to say it was the. Did you guys had a magazine for a while, like the Ghost Hunter?
Yeah,
it's signed the magazine. It's like, yeah,
man,
isn't that crazy?
Sorry, it just hit me.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Steve, because I live in Florida, and I know one of the most haunted places is the lighthouse in St. Augustine.
Sure.
I've been there.
You've been there, Danica?
Man,
I want to go. Like, what do I need to know about the lighthouse?
Oh, the lighthouse is beautiful. The history is fantastic. A lot of things are happening there, going all the way back from pirates, supposedly that sort of thing. But we did have some experiences there, mostly in the lighthouse tower itself. And we weren't originally going to investigate the lighthouse. We were just in town, and we were investigate somewhere else. And they told us that if we investigated, we had to say it was haunted. And so we said, no way. And so the production company agreed with us, and we didn't do it. So we had like a week off. And we all rented scooters, and we're scooting around town. And it was the townspeople were like, you have to go check out the lighthouse. And so we did. And we weren't originally even going to investigate the tower because there was nothing happening there, but we decided to anyway. And that's where we found most of the stuff. Yeah.
I remember watching that episode, and at one point there's the camera shot that's going up.
That's right. Yeah.
And you can see something.
My shot.
It was we were all sitting on my couch like did you see that? Like, I mean, we were like freaking out, dude. It was badass.
Oh my God.
Great.
Right before that, I worked at and this is just going back to maybe your crew or something, but I worked at a place called the Webster Theater in Hartford.
I played there.
You guys played there 2 nights in a row, and I was, security there pulling people down off the thing. But I will say, you guys, the crew, I didn't meet any of the band guys back then, but the crew, you guys were the coolest, the nicest. But your fans were intense. Even back then, that was 2003 maybe. Like they were fucking ripping heads off.
They're maniacs, dude.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was cool.
Okay, so we have a game that we want to play with you guys, if that's okay.
All right, hold on. Let me stretch out.
Okay,
Like,
Danica. Okay,
Warm up.
we'll let Danica start. So this is Would You Rather.
oh,
Okay,
oh.
Danica. Go ahead.
Man.
Would you rather spend the night in Dracula's castle or Lady Bathory's castle?
Oh, I had a chance to go to Dracula's castle.
Man.
Because we played Romania and Bulgaria. It's not too far away, but it's far enough away from the gig that it's kind of a day off thing. So it was like I was this close. The good thing is it's still there, but so I would probably do Dracula's castle, just because that's one of those places that before I die, I'm going to get there. Like it's kind of a destination at this point. Machu Picchu and Dracula's castle.
Here you go.
Oh my God.
I know it's a random list. I know it's just
It's pretty awesome, man. Gosh.
How
Man.
about you, Steve?
Dracula's castle for sure. Yeah.
Dracula's castle. Okay.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Okay.
What about you guys?
Oh, well, I'm Romanian, so I have to say Dracula's castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I guess I'm the odd one out. I'm just fascinated by the mythology of Lady Bathory. So I think like
you just want to see the
kind of just wanna
bathtub,
see
don't you? You just want to see the bathtub.
Yes.
Oh.
Like that's where they hung them, and then they squeeze them out like this, and yeah.
Oh.
I'm just imagining like from Flashdance, it's just like a bucket.
Okay, question number 2. Would you rather, okay, I hope this isn't worded too weird now that I'm reading it. Would you rather have Robert the doll or Annabelle sitting at the foot of your bed for a night?
Oh man. I'd take both of them.
Both of them?
Just to see. I mean, I'd probably Annabelle, the real Annabelle, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that scene in Poltergeist with the clown.
Ooh.
A little too close to Annabelle for my taste.
Yeah.
The other, yeah,
Yeah.
I have to go with that. As a kid, that probably the spookiest scene I'd ever seen in my life, because that was every kid, like looking. It's like, is there something there? Like, no.
As an adult, it's the most terrifying scene.
Right. Yeah, and then you can't get in. You're like losing your mind.
Yeah. I'm in my 40s and I'm still like this.
Right. Same.
All right, Danica.
All right, the next one. These are weird. All right, let's just put that out there.
Why stop now?
No,
Come on.
Keep going.
Would you rather go to prom with Lizzie Borden or Reagan from The Exorcist?
Ooh. I'd go with Lizzie Borden. It's because Reagan back then would have been a little young.
Well, okay. Well, hold
Is
on.
the possession.
What about Exorcist 2, The Heretic?
There you go.
Oh, man.
Pretty stout in that movie. Like,
She over 18? That definitely comes into play.
maybe the character was. I don't know. Well, I mean, you see all those things where it's like it's take a celebrity to prom thing, right? So.
Oh yeah. All right.
I mean, I guess there's more danger involved with Lizzie Borden.
Good call.
That sounds fun.
That's cool. So let's take Reagan.
Okay.
I'll do Reagan.
Okay.
I mean, I'll go with Reagan.
Got it. Noted. Rewind the tape. Okay. So would you guys rather be
Remember that safe word we talked about beforehand in the game room?
Okay. Would you guys rather be a member of the Scooby-Doo gang, Mystery Incorporated, or a member of the Ghostbusters?
Oh, now see, that's not that. You can't do that. What the hell?
That's the game, Corey.
Wait, are we talking OG 84? Or are we talking 2016?
Oh, we're talking OG.
Obviously.
Or the original 60s Ghostbusters with the ape.
Oh man!
Yes.
That crazy gun.
Not Ghost, but
right? Exactly. That's a weird zoo troop Ghostbusters. I'm like, what ghosts are you busting? Like,
Not the Ghostbusters.
They have the real Ghostbusters, which would kind of like mash them up together. You could do Scooby-Doo and Ghostbusters kind of in one two. But
that's tough.
Scooby-Doo.
I would just so I wouldn't feel like somebody's uncle, I would have to go with the Ghostbusters.
All right.
If you're hanging out with the Scooby-Doo gang, they've been perpetually teenagers for 60 years now, and people would start to go. They give you that old guy at the club look, like the hell.
That's a good point.
I mean, I'm just holding somebody's coat, trying to be of you.
Yeah, that's true. I think Ghostbusters get to hang out with Bill Murray from, or at least Venkman.
Yeah,
would be pretty cool.
Yeah, totally Venkman.
True.
I changed my answer.
Okay.
Officially.
Okay.
Flipping.
All right, Danica, you got the next one?
All right.
I love this one.
So,
Okay.
you're in the Shining house. You're in the mansion. Would you rather get chased by Jack Torrance with the axe or take a bath with the woman in 237?
Chase me, dude.
Yeah, I get chased.
Stanley Hotel, by the way. You guys were there.
Yeah.
I want to go and stay there so bad.
You should.
I have a little link there because we recreated The Shining for the Spit It Out video that was there, banned on MTV. You can see it on YouTube. But I was Jack Nicholson, and I had to fall backwards on some stairs while Jim, dressed as Shelley Duvall, hits me with a baseball bat. I fell backwards about 9 times. Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Did you film it at the Stanley?
No, we filmed it in some weird apartment building in LA. But they were able to recreate a section of the maze in a hallway. Dude, if I hadn't told you that, you would look at that and go, that's in a real snow-driven maze. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
That's that movie magic stuff.
Yeah, dude. I was blown, and it was our first video, so it kind of spoiled us. We were just like, this is dumb, dude. Like, I mean, we were just so green and just like, this is so killer.
First video
because
band.
because I'm up on my cardio, I would totally outrun drunk Jack Nicholson. So
yeah, that's good.
I'd smoke him. Like he'd have, especially with the limp. No, get the hell out of here. You ain't doing it. I'm not getting in that gross ass water. That is just, you want to talk typhoid? That's gross.
We had a couple people in the comments that are choosing the bathtub, so I don't know.
What the hell? Those people make really, really rash decisions.
Yeah, we could try to hold her under maybe in the bathtub and escape, I guess.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So the final would you rather question.
Carol Baskin all day, Andy.
Oh yeah, I'll take Jack Nicholson or the tub over fucking Carol
Baskin. Yeah, I don't want to turn into a tiger turd.
Yeah. I didn't mean to swear. Excuse me.
Oh, that's
okay.
You didn't mean to swear.
Hey, I don't know. It could be kids in this thing. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I apologize.
Stay off my internet.
It's all right. Okay. So the final would you rather choose to say 3 times Beetlejuice, Bloody Mary, or Candyman?
Oh, diesel.
Man, you went deep on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say Beetlejuice for sure.
Don't say it 2 more times, Steve.
I won't.
Okay.
For me, that would
I would say, well, I would only say this if it were the original, because I got to meet Tony Todd and he was super cool.
I love Tony Todd. Yeah.
He's amazing. I'd totally go Candyman and hope that he remembered me and that he wouldn't like kill me.
Well,
I know there's a new Candyman coming out hopefully later this year.
Which looks, have you seen the trailer for it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Have you seen the trailer for the new one, Steve?
No, I want to.
Dude,
I want to.
It's on. Find it on YouTube, dude. It's so crazy. Like I was like, oh, this is gonna be good, dude.
I'll watch anything Tony Todd too, and he's in the new one for
Yeah. Which I'm really glad that he is. It's gonna be sick, man.
It got pushed back. I don't know to when, but
They've moved everything back to. I know they moved all the Marvel movies to starting in November. Black Widow hits November now. No, Black Widow has replaced the Eternals, and then the Eternals is like, yeah. I mean, it's they've moved everything that far back, which is fine because you know.
I just feel bad for the New Mutants that has been pushed back for like 5 years now.
Yeah, but you know what though? That wasn't Marvel's fault. That was Fox just not really understanding what they had. But give credit where it's due that Marvel's actually going to put it out because it looks actually pretty decent.
I know.
I'll see anything that Maisie Williams is in. She's really, really good.
Yeah,
she's dope.
Man.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions before we wrap this up. I guess, let's ask. Besides Slipknot, what are your favorite metal bands? That's a question from the crowd.
Hey now.
For me?
Oh, it's Lisa Tango, Dave Tango's wife. Hey now.
Oh, are you waiting on me? Oh, okay. Oh God, man, I don't know. As far as like my son actually turned me onto a band called Polaris. But other than that, I mean, everything from Gojira to
they were awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. They were one of the best bands to tour with, dude. Like the road show that we did this last summer was so good. It was us, Gojira, Volbeat, and Behemoth. And I mean, it was such a great balanced lineup, kind of giving people a little bit of everything, that it was one of the reasons why we loved doing Knotfest. So getting to see them every night was sick. God, what's hold on. I'm going through my head. Code Orange. They're amazing. They're really, really good. They're going to be really, really big. Some friends of mine in a band called Horror, which is honestly like really, really sick, like Slipknot-ish hip hop, but with like Bad Brains, and it's really killer. They're really, really good. And the new Knocked Loose is sick.
Yeah, it's really good.
Really good, man. And I don't know if Nails has put out anything lately, but they're probably one of my favorite bands, dude. They're so good. There's so much great heavy music out there right now that it's really hard to pick one. I'm just glad to still be in the conversation, man. You know, it's just a good time to be into metal because there's so many different flavors again.
Awesome. So before we have to wrap this up, we have a couple people asking, what are you guys doing to kind of pass your time during this quarantine?
Steve, go ahead.
Whew, man. Lots of movies, horror movies, work projects, yard work. I mean, house projects, my cat, which has been amazing. But, you start to miss friends and family and that sort of thing. But, we're all lucky to have our health. And so I'll take this and be thankful and high five whoever is, up there saying, hey, man, you're okay through this. So,
right.
That's been about it for me. A lot of movies,
Anything good?
New. Yeah, mostly horror. I've been watching all the old favorites, Return of the Living Dead and Reanimator, Day of the Dead, of course.
One of the best soundtracks ever, dude.
Oh, which one?
Return.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah, man.
Dude.
Ooh,
one of my workout playlists starts with 45 Grave. So do you want a party?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Party. Okay, sorry. Corey, what about you? What have you been up to?
Honestly, I've just been hanging out with my family. It's crazy. This forced time off has really made me settle down. Usually I'm the guy who works every weekend, even if I'm not on the road. So I've really discovered the fact that I needed to just chill out, man. So we've done we literally just bought this house like last year. So we've been slowly but surely moving into it, really making it feel like a home. I had my son and my daughter together for about a month, which was awesome because he lives in Iowa and she lives here in Vegas. So it was great for them to get to bond and me to just kind of be a dad and just the four of us, me, my wife, and them, just to kind of do our thing. And I'd just been, practicing and writing, got my drums set up and like amps behind me, and I've been teaching myself piano, and that's about it,
Man, how old's your son?
17.
17.
Yeah.
Man, good time to spend together. It was good
Dude,
age to bond, and
he just played his first show.
Oh, get out of here.
Nice.
Awesome.
Was right before the lockdown. Luckily, he slid in the radar. My wife and I were able to fly to Iowa to see it, and it was, dude, I was bawling. I was crying my eyes out. It was so good. His name, the band's called Vended. Vended, yeah, Vended. And there's a bunch of videos on YouTube. And dude, they are, I mean, me and Clown, his son plays drums in it. So it's like just these kids that got together and kind of grew up just wanting to crush. And dude, they were so good. I mean, they packed out this like little club in Des Moines, and I've never been more proud, dude. Like it was so rad. And he's just buzzing. Now he's like, okay, now I got like I'll do this stuff, and it's I told him, I was like, you have to get that first one, you have to feel the experience of it, because I brought him up and on stage with me with Stone Sour and had him sing in front of like a bunch of people, and he was just a natural, dude. I mean, he grabbed the mic and he wasn't nervous at all. He's jumping off of stuff. I mean, it was rad. Yeah, thank you, Crystal.
There we go. A link there.
So to watch him really to do his own thing with originals that he wrote and some of the songs that I helped him with when he was like, when he was asking me, for advice and stuff, it was a rad moment, man. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome. It's cool that he looks to you for advice, instead of having that sort of dad son, that could come in the mix.
Yeah, man. I mean, there wasn't a lot of contention like when he was younger, like because we've always had that in common, like we've always he's always been my boy. So cool. There were some tough moments as he was, turning, becoming a teenager, but nothing crazy, nothing at all crazy. And now, God, we get along even better than we ever did. It's really cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we have a couple people asking if we're going to get, a project between the two of you, a Corey Taylor and Steve project. Can we
always down?
Something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's hit a ballista. Let's
dude, yeah, man. I'd
do that
in a heartbeat. I'd be into that.
Anytime.
Right on.
In the future for sure. Heck yeah.
Well, and before we let y'all go, we just want to make sure if you guys have anything that you want to plug besides your son's awesome band, let's tell the people.
All right, Steve, plug away. Go.
Hey, well, we have Ghost Nation. Our second season comes out April 22nd, which is a Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, special 2-hour premiere, and directed and produced a documentary that is available now for pre-order on iTunes. It's called The House in Between. It's a really, really cool story. A lot of science, a lot of paranormal, and a lot of humility in the human experience. And that's available now, pre-order. iTunes coming out May 5th. And that's it for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Corey?
Nothing major happening yet. Obviously, the Slipknot album that came out last year, We Are Not Your Kind, still out there, available everywhere. We got Slipknot Whiskey No. 9, which is tested through the roof. People really, really dig it. If you're into that thing, I can't drink it anymore, but I hope anybody else can. I wrote. I'm still working on getting my horror movie made and recording my first solo album. So nothing tangible. Just stuff for the future. So everything's trucking. We're all safe. We're all good. So thumbs up, I guess. That's about it.
And if we can give a shout out to, I believe her name is Lauren. She's a nurse. So I think we should give a shout out to all the nurses and everyone helping us during this crazy time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you to all the health workers for everything they do. People don't realize how much danger they're in just trying to help the people who need that much help. So thank you very much. You're all in our thoughts, and we wish you nothing but the best. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. And Danica, did you want to plug your podcast before I go over what we got next week?
Oh, sure. So you can catch me and my colleague. We have a little podcast called the Theater Nerd Podcast, theater with an R-E. We are huge dorks and, we have MFAs and we talk about theater and it's cool. And we're starting some radio plays actually too, so that we can get some artists paid for all the time that they're currently spending not getting paid. So yeah, check us out. Theater Nerd Podcast.
It's an R-E, not E-R.
Yeah. And Theater Nerd Podcast on Facebook.
Thanks. Awesome. Okay, so I actually have the lineup for next week. So Monday, we have Dino Sammartopoulos and Dana Snyder. Tuesday, we actually have Sandy Martin and Josie Devora, who are the author and illustrators of Love Prince, and you can actually get that now on Amazon. Wednesday, we have Rico Fajardo and Aaron Dismuke and Lindsay Seidel from the Big Three from My Hero Academia. Thursday, we have Jason David Frank, who you guys may know from the Power Rangers. Friday, we have Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi. And actually, next Saturday on our show, we have Michael Cudless and Matt Novetsky, who's the bassist from Blue October. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, I want to say thank you to both of you. This was so awesome and such a huge, very, very cool dream come true on both fronts. So, and thanks for, letting people ask you questions and just being rad.
That's all good.
Please.
This was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad we got to do this. So thanks for having me.
We should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Oh,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Let's talk. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll have some coffee. We'll talk. Talk amongst
Let's
ourselves.
talk.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. That was fun.
I guess on that note, let's roll these end videos. Check out the GalaxyCon store online. You can find items like t-shirts, signed and certified Funko Pops, magnets, keychains, and pins, exclusive comic book variants, and so much more. Make sure to check out our collectibles page, which features autographs for every fandom, from Star Trek to My Hero Academia and everything in between. So what are you waiting for? Check out galaxycon.myshopify.com.